Okay, now that we've got our classes set up, now we're ready to get the information that will help us see how the data is distributed and make us able to make some histograms. Now, frequency is just how many data values fall in this class. Now, usually the easiest thing to do is to go through and tally. So let's look up here. Our first column of numbers goes 15, 16, 20. So 15 goes in the third class, 16 goes in the third class, 20 also goes in the third class. The second row of numbers goes 23, 32, 12. So 23 goes in the fourth class, 32 goes in the fifth class, 12 goes in the second class. And then we have 17, 27, and 8. So 17, 27, 8. Then we have 13, 4, 10. 13, 4, 10. 3, 20, 25. 3, 20, 25. 9, 3, 10. 9, 3, 10. 7, 28, 8. 7, 28, 8. 6, 5, 15. 6, 5, 15. 8, 6, 11. 8, 6, 11. And then 11, 11, 9. 11, 11, 9. So the frequency for the first class is 10. There are 10 data values that are somewhere between 3 and 8. Okay? There are 9 data values somewhere between 9 and 14. There are 6 data values between 15 and 20. 2 between 21 and 26, and 3 between 27 and 32. So it's easy for us to see that most semesters or most weeks, there's not very many students. Mostly somewhere between 3 and 14 students visit. Very rarely is there, 21 through 32. Probably just when a test or something's coming up. Okay, so here's our frequency. How many data values actually fall into there? Now, a good thing to probably do is to add these up and make sure that it does add up to 30, because we're supposed to have 30 data values. So we have 19, 25, 30. Good. So we know we have 30 total. Now, relative frequency gives us more of an idea in a percentage. Although we don't write it as a percent, we write it as a decimal. So relative frequency for the first class, there was 10 out of 30 data values that fell in there. So what we do is we do 10 divided by 30. So 10 divided by 30 is 0.3 repeating. We generally want to go at least 2 decimal places on these. So 0.33, okay? And then we're going to do 9 divided by 30 for this second class. And 9 divided by 30 is 0.3 exactly. I'm going to go ahead and write it as 0.30 just so everything's 2 decimal places. And then we'll have 6 divided by 30, which is 0.2, so 0.20. And then 2 divided by 30, which is 0.0, and then 6 is repeating, so that rounds to 0.07. Okay? And then we have 3 divided by 30, which is 0.1, so 0.10. Now, these should add up to 1. However, sometimes because of rounding, you might get 0.99 or 1.01. But in fact, these do add up to 1, so you're good. All right, on cumulative frequency, we just keep a running total of the frequency. So in the first class, we have a frequency of 10. Now, when we hit the second class, we have 9 in the second class, but we also have 10 in the first class. So that's a total of 19. So if you notice, we just did 10 plus 9. Okay? Then, when we get to the third class, how many total do we have? So we do the 10 plus the 9 plus the 6. So that's 25. Okay? And again, for the fourth class, all the classes before it as well as the fourth class. So the 10 plus the 9 plus the 6 plus the 2, which is 27. And then, of course, when we add them all up, we should end up with the 30. Okay? So there is your entire frequency table, everything organized. We can see there are more data values. In fact, here we can see 33% in the first class, 30% in the second, 20 in the third, and then 7 and 10. So we get a nice idea of how the data is distributed. Okay? Now we want to look at some pictures. Okay? So I'm going to push this over to the side. We'll need it here in a second. And we're going to start off with just a histogram. Okay? So if we want to draw a histogram, the first thing we think about on a histogram, on the vertical axis, we're going to write frequency, because that's what goes on a histogram. Sometimes it's called a frequency histogram. Now, our highest frequency was 10. So it looks like we have enough that we could go by 1. So I'm just going to mark every second one. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. All right, so here's our frequency. I just marked every other one. Now on the bottom of all of these graphs, we can't have any gaps, so we have to use the class boundaries. Now if you notice, our class boundaries, we're going to start at 2.5 and then we're going to go up by 6s. Okay? So we need to break our axis because 0 to 2.5 isn't going up by 6s. So we break our axis, and I'm going to start at 2.5, and I think I'll skip over 4, and then 8.5, and then 14.5, 20.5, 26.5, and 32.5. Now, even though these are our class boundaries, that's not what these numbers actually represent. These numbers represent our data values. What do our data values represent? It's the number of students visiting each week. So I'm just going to put the number of students each week. Okay? Now, I need a title. Let's just say Professor Hill's student visits, weekly visits. Professor Hill's weekly visits. All right. And now all we're going to do is make our bars. So for the first class, our frequency was 10. So I'm going to come up here with my bar up to 10. I'm going to try to hurry because I'm running short on time. Okay, 10 minutes sure goes by fast. All right, second class has 9. Third class has 6. Fourth class has 2. And the last class has 3. Okay. There we go. There is our histogram. Labeling the axes, getting it a title, okay? Use frequency on the side, class boundaries on the bottom, and we make that. If we had to say the distribution shape, I'd probably say skewed right's about as close as we could get. All right? All right, I'm going to have to stop again. We will have to have a part 3. And we'll finish in a minute.